Welcome back to my channel for Data and Tech Career. In today's video, we're going to go over what is it actually like to be a people manager. So there are actually two types of people managers. One type of people manager is that they're actually a technical manager, that you are actually doing your direct reports job before you became a manager. So you actually understand all the ins and outs about how they do their job. And you understand all the technical part of it, and you're just a little bit more senior than them. And so when the direct reports have problems with their code or with their errors or like things that they don't know how to do, and maybe like it was like the first time building like the pipeline or something, then you're able to actually help them to do their job, or you can actually guide them or help them to debug and like QA their work. That is what I define as a technical manager, is that you actually can do their job even if they're not there. So the second kind of people manager is that you're absolutely just a people manager, that you don't actually understand how your direct reports get job done, but you're more like a project manager, that you're pushing the projects forward, you're making sure everything is done in time, so that you know, as a manager, you're actually managing a team well, but you actually don't understand how they do it or what they do. But there's I guess there are pros and cons into that. So like, you know, you don't really know what they're doing, but then you can focus on your people management skills. You can focus on how you manage your stakeholder relationship a lot more, or like manage your relationship with the upper management, and focus on those more than instead of like trying to really you know, help your direct reports like debug their problems or help them figure out their solutions. So I think both exist. I do see that people manager happen, like I see more people manager in like a smaller organization where it doesn't really make sense to have a manager for like a data engineering team, a data analytics team, and data science team if like each team only has like one or two people. And so having one manager managing all these teams will make sense, but then at the same time you wouldn't know or understand all the ins and outs about like how to do a data engineering job if you came from a data analytics background, or you wouldn't be able to do a know how data scientists do their job if you don't have that technical background. So after we have talked about two different types of managers, now we're gonna go to like what are the things or the traits that are good as a manager. But please make sure you subscribe to learn more about data and tech career, and I will continue. So now we have gone over, you know, what are the two types of people managers. Now I like to go over the top 3 traits I think that people managers have to have, because that you often have to, you know, make sure you have very constrained resources, but then you have a lot of business stakeholders or business partners that you have to handle. So how do you say no to them without sounding like mean, and without sounding like you don't want to support them at all? And so the first thing is, like I would like to say, is you always want to ask them questions. You always want to ask, like, what is the business impact? How is this useful to the business? How to, you know, by answering this question, how much revenue or how much benefit would we get out of it? That asking all these questions are kind of like, you know, making the stakeholder or making the requester also think a little bit like, how does this question or how does this answer will help the business, to help them understand that we have a lot of things going on, but that we need to prioritize. And without understanding these questions, that we wouldn't be able to make a decision on should we move forward or not. And this is so impactful, we should prioritize as like, you know, top priority or not. And oftentimes when you're asking all these questions, sometimes the requester are already thinking about it themselves, and then you can also show them like what are the things your team is working on, so that they will understand, oh, based on, you know, all the things that other people are requesting are so much more impact or will generate so much revenue than what I'm asking for. And so at the end, it's not really like I'm saying no to them. It's more like, oh, they realize that what they're asking for is not really that impactful, so they shouldn't work on. Like, then they realize that themselves, like maybe this is not a very good question to ask. So then they ended up saying no to themselves, and I didn't even have to say no to them. And the second trait I think is so important is that, you know, okay, now you understand how to say no to your stakeholders, how to, you know, manage the projects. The second thing is like you want to make sure your people are happy. And so how do you make, you know, how do we manage people, not like managing machines? How do we have empathy for like what they're going through? For example, if they're having, you know, family emergencies, if they're having a hard time and they're just not having no, you know, personal problems, how do you like show them empathy? And then how do I, you know, as managers, how do we show them we can support them without making them feel like all my manager cares about is like if I get work done? And they don't even care about me as a human being. They don't even care about how I feel, and they wouldn't even listen to me when I'm trying to say something. So having empathy and making your direct reports feeling that they're supported, not just from a technical perspective, but even just from the, you know, from a human being side of like, you know, you're having a bad day. Maybe can we, you know, like work on the essential things and then push back on the others. All right, all these things are very important when you're trying to be a people manager. The third thing is that when your direct reports are working on projects, working on tickets, what a manager has to do is like we have to plan ahead for the next quarter, even the next half a year. And I'm thinking about what are the things we need to prioritize, what are the things we need to focus on, instead of, you know, focusing too much on a day-to-day job. Like day-to-day job is important to get things done, but then we have to also pull, like as managers, we need to like pull ourselves out of the day-to-day job a little bit when we're trying to think of like, okay, now it's 2021. What do we need to do in 2022? Should I start, you know, thinking about what's a roadmap for the company? What are the product changes, or are the things that are going to change for the stakeholders on the stakeholder side? And then so by interviewing our stakeholders or business partners, then I can understand what are they expecting out of me from my team, maybe the next half year or the next year, so that I can plan ahead in regards of like, you know, headcounts, or like on thinking about what are the things I need to do to help support the team better in the future. So now you know what are the types of managers and what are the key traits that managers really need to have. Do you know if you would want to be a manager or not? Yes or no? And you can leave a comment below on like, you know, what's your management style, or if you're not a manager yet, why do you want to be a manager, or why do you not want to be a manager, and why do you want to stay as an individual contributor forever, or why not? So leave a comment below and let me know, and I would like to, you know, learn from a lot of other people outside of my career and like outside of my space. And so if you like this video, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to this channel.